Greetings, YouTube. Sorry I haven't really messed with y'all in a while. I uploaded a few things from TikTok, but I haven't really given any YouTube exclusive content for a little while. I've been kind of neglecting uh, my people, so I'm going to try to make up for that today. Today, I have another word sound for you. It's called, what is it all for? That's the question, and it's pretty much directed towards everybody. But I want some of the indigenous or autochthonous chiefs or people that are indigenous to our respective territories worldwide, like the Americas, and to actually think about some of the stuff that I'm saying. So it's actually, for the most part, uh, produced as food for thought. Food for thought, and we can enact whatever it is that I have written down if we so desire, um, you know, later on at some point. Just food for thought. Okay, what is it all for? That's the question. Today I came to a revelation. It seems as though all my efforts have been for naught, and that I've been just another useless entertainer. Here's how. I'm not naive. The majority of people on social media are way too self-absorbed to try to seriously understand the messages that a creator or any type of leader is seriously trying to get across to them if it does not suit their personal interests, which is very often tied to what is trending. Even among adults, that leaves a small handful of people that I can expose my product to that are even capable of understanding my message. These are people that I think got it, only to realize by talking to them or following their lives online, I discover that they don't. They go on with their lives as though the things that I say are not true, and I'm just left standing there wondering, hello, tapping the mic. Is this thing on? Did you hear what I just said? No wonder the elite are making their moves so boldly now. The people are so heavily indoctrinated that we couldn't coordinate a resistance if we wanted to. Now I'm beginning to realize how impossible my stated life ambition really is. The intention of raising the vibration of the people of this plane of existence proved to be far more challenging than I ever thought it to be. My ultimate goal is to be able to help usher us all into a new golden age, among other ultimate goals. And I'm well aware that even though this, I'm well aware that this cannot happen without the blessings of they who created and continue to sustain us all. And I do not ever want to go against their wishes. There's a universal order to this world, and I have to live in accordance to its immutable laws that apply to everyone and everything, lest I earn the displeasure of the higher ups. I know better than to interfere with karma unless I want to inherit some of that karma come into that individual or group that I'm trying to help. This is why I will not physically commit myself to organized resistance with others at this time as it pertains to the liberation of people. Only they themselves could cause themselves to be physically free. They must first be free in their own minds before they could ever achieve any type of freedom. Consequently, that is the only type of freedom, the only type to which I am particular well suited to teach, that I offer. I can't be successful in knowing my role and sticking. I can only be successful by knowing my role and sticking to it. Take for example that I am American autochthonous indigenous chief here in the Caribbean. Now that information is becoming increasingly better known about us and among us. So we bear the responsibility of knowing what to do with that information. We all know that we have been treated pretty badly in the past in our homelands, and that it continues to this day. In these times, the tables are starting to turn and things are starting to go in our favor, and the truth is coming out. So my question to all my other indigenous, autochthonous brothers and sisters of the Americas, what do we do now? Do we all become tyrant landlords now and evict every tenant, squatter off the land without due process? Is that what we do? Hold on one second. If so, do we do this violently or non-violently? Do we have teams of genetic specialists to determine who indeed has the indigenous genes that support their right to be in the land? Or do we do to the offspring of our oppressors what was done to our ancestors? Is that where we're headed here? I'm just asking because I've heard talk of some of these things, and to be honest, while I will consider some of these things to be considerable, the rest is foolish, and I personally won't be a part of it. So we need to have a sit down and talk and decide our futures together. In the meantime, my idea of how the knowledge should be used is, one, to support the understanding of the knowledge that everything that comes out of the establishment of modern day society was built on the destruction and exploitation of the lives and hopes and dreams of the indigenous peoples worldwide through the conquest of our territories and the stealing of our minds. And we want everything back, and we will stop at nothing to restore our legacy. That's what I believe. In the Americas, the narrative that we were brought from Africa by our benevolent slave masters result in us being able to enjoy a higher standard of life implies that they themselves were here before us, and equally laughable that we were not always here. I consulted all my family and elders. The conclusion is that there are no Africans in my lineage. Not that I hate Africans or anything like that. These fallacies, lies that we are from Africa was clearly meant to separate our hearts from the land so that others could do what they want with it. But not so, not on my watch, not on ours. Hearing the knowledge that we now have about everything gives us the moral, everything that we know now gives us the moral high ground to now claim possession of what we now know to righteously be ours once a proper organizational structure is established amongst our peoples. I recommend that we do this post haste. Our actions may include eviction based on the establishment of certain righteous protocols, but anything other than that, we can expect to experience resistance. We cannot care about that as long as we know that the protocols that are established and followed righteously that we create, we shall not budge. These are just recommendations. We should work with what we have in terms of demographics with us in charge, by putting everyone else on alert that we know what has taken place to this point that has gotten us to where we are right now, and that it's all over, and that it's going to be some changes. I'm talking about flexing our power. These corporations will no longer be allowed to operate on our soil. In fact, they'll all be dissolved, as they are all satanic in nature. The people will be running every aspects of our lands through cooperative efforts. And to me, the biggest advantage of having of having that a knowledge of the knowledge that we possess today, that I'm connected to the land and that you are connected to it, is that I'm a part of it, and then I hold an equal stake under normal conditions about what goes on here, along with my brothers and sisters and my elders and everybody. And all others that found themselves on our side of the world have to do what we say we want them to do if they want to remain in our homelands. If not, they could go peacefully or forcefully. Being autochthonous or / indigenous means that we get to reverse every rude, racist, exploitative policy that was ever established in this land, and starting first with whoever remains when all this land, and starting first with whoever remains when this is all said and done. This is the value of us knowing our connection to the land. To be honest with you, I don't really understand what I wrote in that last sentence, so I'm gonna have to review that. That's some extra that ended up in there. Some people, once having this knowledge that we are now empowered with, will gain a superiority complex. For what? How is that going to benefit you? I can't tell you how to be, but I would very sternly caution anyone to not fall into that trap, because no good will ultimately come from it. I suggest that we go into the future not only as warriors, but nothing will be handed to us, not only as warriors, because nothing will be handed to us, but as practical realists. For example, I know the things that have happened to bring us to this point, who was intended to benefit and the actual beneficiaries, and at whose expense they were made to benefit. I know all of that, and it's sad, but hear me out for a second, and may reasonable minds prevail. It's sad. It's really sad, because I can't punish any of the people that committed any of these acts in the past, nor could I undo them. And if I could, I would, honestly. In these times, the best that I could do is to commit to the establishment of a culture that would prevent anything like that from ever happening in our lands again. I am a chief, but I am also a resolutionary, and I am literally the first of my kind, philosophically, that I am aware. The energy that I carry to fulfill my major goal is to always find the most cerebral and fair approach to the solving of any problem, anywhere, as a first solution to anything. So let's try diplomacy first. The ultimate end game, again, is to figure out a way for all peoples of all ethnic denominations to learn how to live with one another in what we now know to be indigenous territories worldwide in harmony. I say this because many of you are already in our lands, and you have already made yourselves a home here. Many of you may not be indigenous or autochthonous. I always have a problem pronouncing that word. But the fact that you are either born here or that your family has been here for generations makes you native at the very least. And in my book, I don't know about other chiefs or other indigenous people, autochthonous people, but in my book, that counts for something. Even if it was through the conquest of my ancestors. We, the indigenous autochthonous people, the rightful landowners, now have the opportunity to establish righteousness in our lands. This is my vision. This should be part of our vision. Let's get your contribution. This isn't just talk now. We can literally put this shit into action. I suggest that we use our power correctly. We are the only ones righteously charged with that task. This is our house. We are responsible for what goes on here. And if you agree with me, you know what that means, right? That means that we have to get ourselves right if we going to lead the way. That means you have to embrace a virtue-based lifestyle. The men have to finally become men. The women have to finally become the women that they are meant to be. We are supposed to become the people that we're meant to be so that we can assume the reins of control over our destiny. No more excuses. I have a vision as to how we can make that happen, and I'll reveal it to you in the coming days and weeks. To the people of the world that are suffering at the indiscretion of these marvelous beasts that we call governments, you will continue to struggle until we get rid of them. Stick with your boy, though. You know, these other leaders out there will unnecessarily get your wig pushed back. The powers that be worldwide have proven to be unfit to rule, with very few exceptions. We have to get organized in our respective regions and overthrow these people if we expect ourselves and our offspring to have a future like the people of Africa are doing right now. They're overthrowing those leaders. Deep inside, you already knew that though, didn't you? The takeover does not necessarily have to be violent. The takeover could be advanced by other ways. Do you have a plan? You need a plan. Develop a plan. You're already behind. There are many more steps between conception of your plans and victory. Prepare yourself. Victory must be ours. War is coming to us, whether we like it or not, like it's come to us before. We must be ready for victory. Will you be wearing their mask again? Tell them no. They want to remove you or your family from the home to quarantine you. What will you tell them? Tell them no, of course. Tell them hell's no. They want to deploy our sons and daughters overseas to fight their wars. What will you tell them? The answer is no. No. And you gotta mean it. Why? Because we know who we are now. And we don't play those games at all anymore. Because we are not theirs to command or to control anymore. This message is too advanced for most folks because they are the slaves that some people have always said that they are. Most will just listen to it and won't even listen to the whole thing. They will agree with some of it and they may leave an encouraging comment, but they ain't about that life. They're gonna forget it and won't even share it. This is how far gone you are, and you know it, but that's got to change. The leadership is there, but where are the followers? Even if I'm not accepted as a leader, y'all still got to get yourselves right. Am I upset because of that? Am I broken or deterred? No, because I'm going to just still keep trying, you know? Not even in the slightest. The Most High is in charge of this shit. My job, I'm just playing my role. I'm just following my orders. My job right now is like being the coach of the Bad News Bears. Y'all remember them, right? Don't worry, y'all, though. Don't worry, though, y'all. We got this. Don't be negative. I'm sorry for being negative. If we play our cards right, we can be going into a new golden age, baby. You know what I'm saying? So, fuck this system. Let it crash and burn. One day, I promise, we shall reserve a day when, I promise that we shall reserve a day when we will all sit around the campfire and tell stories about these times, and we will tell our stories to younger generations about how we overcame our struggles. These are just some of my thoughts for today. But look out for my intelligence briefings later. I've been putting them on Facebook. I'm going to start putting them on here now. And my final statement as I get the heck out of here is right on to the real and death to the fakers. Justify your existence or die like the motherfucking punk ass bitch that they say you are. One.